Alright fellas, I'm going to make a little video about one of my favorite bodybuilders of the 90s. Guy that kind of under the radar a little bit back in the day. Didn't place real high in shows, but he was a contender, always showed up, competed a lot, and that's Paul Dillet, one of the true mass monsters of the 1990s when, people talk about the 90s as the best era of bodybuilding. The way the guys looked, they came in cut, they came in with tight stomachs. Paul was one of the biggest guys, if not the biggest guy, competing in the 90s on a regular basis. This guy was 6'1", competed anywhere from 275, I think, to 285. Walked around over 300 easy in the off season. And another thing about Paul that a lot of people don't bring up, when they're talking about some of the best arms in history, Paul didn't quite have the cuts that a lot of these guys have in his arms, but his arms were massive. I mean, this guy was a freak. Look at that shot there. That is just amazing. But Paul had a lot of problems posing, and he was just an awkward poser. His back lacked detail, and those are two things that really hurt him up on stage. If he could have brought up his back a little bit better, he could have been, in his posing, I mean, this guy could have been Mr. Olympia. I mean, he dwarfed a lot of people up there on stage. He competed a ton of shows in the 90s. I mean, he made the rounds like all the bodybuilders did in the 90s. I mean, these guys competed on a regular basis back then. But Paul, I think right now, these days, he's a CEO for some clothing company or something like that. So I think he's doing all right. Here's kind of a little pic of what he started to look like after bodybuilding. These guys are hyper responders. I mean, yeah, it's genetics, but it's hyper responsiveness to a lot of the minerals these guys are taking. So let's see if I got another pic of him here. Yeah, this is kind of what he looks like now. It goes to show you, what can happen if you just let a lot of these guys just kind of let things go when they get into their 40s, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you passed it, it's out of your life, whatever it is. But yeah, but Paul, he had some problems. I think he locked up on stage in 1999 at one of the shows. But this guy was a freak of nature, man. Googled some more pics of Paul. I mean, he was an absolute beast.